Well, hello there, Bubble Butts. It's Carrie with the Gilded Bubble, and today I'm remaking my honey soap, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But first, I want to talk about the honey that I'm using. This is local honey from the Honey Truck Company. They're based out of St. Augustine, Florida, and they do a lot of local and hyperlocal varietals, and it's delicious. I'm also scenting this with oatmeal, milk, and honey from Nature's Garden, using no colorants, just some honey and some colloidal oatmeal. Now, the reason why I am remaking this soap is directly to do with the fact that I had been getting very, very dark, kind of grainy looking soap. And I was making it exactly the same way, putting in, or so I thought, putting in my honey and my colloidal oats. That little bottle was my honey. I use that. I mix it with a little bit of water. I put about a tablespoon of honey, tablespoon of water, just to dilute it a little bit. But this is the soap that I was getting. So you can see how dark and grainy it is. And what I wanted to go back to was when I very first started to make honey soap, where I was getting this beautiful buttery color. And you can just see it's still a little freckled there. A lot of that's from the colloidal oatmeal. Some of it's because I had air bubbles. But I was trying to get back to that. And so I wanted to play around. I went back and watched my original honey making video, honey soap making video, where I had soap that came out a beautiful buttery color. And what I noticed was the temperature that I had back then been soaping very, very cool. Now, this isn't particularly cool. My oils are about 100, my lye is at 97. But what I noticed about that video was that that was back when I would do an ice bath for my lye solution. And that was because as I wouldn't say beginning soaper, but an intermediate soaper, I really was concerned with soaping too hot because that can accelerate your trace. And working with honey in particular, I knew that sugar was also going to, give me a little bit of that. But as I watched my older video, I noticed that I was doing two different things, or two things differently, I should say. I was soaping at much cooler temperatures. Back then, I would put my lye in an ice bath, so that cooled it down quite a bit. The other thing I was doing was adding my honey at trace. I had switched for some reason to adding the honey like at the stage where I would put the lye in it. I would actually put that into my oils. And it could have been one of those things, could have been both, but I thought, you know what, just do it the way you did it before. So I went back and I decided, you know what, I'm going to do a batch of soap the way that I did it the first time and see how that comes out. And I did it unscented. And because I thought, you know what, maybe it's the scent. And then I was like, wait a minute, you used scent in your first one. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go back to this original, and it came out a beautiful buttery color. So that's what I'm showing you here. I am adding my honey here. Actually, this isn't even at trace. This is just barely at emulsion, which is fine because I'm going to also mix it in. And I knew putting the colloidal oatmeal in at this stage, that was going to need a lot of blending to make sure I don't have clumps of that, because you'll see it here that it floats up in a big clump, and then I've got a mess that I've got to contend with, and I end up incorporating way too many bubbles into this. So you know me, I can't ever do everything 100% right. You'll also notice there's a soap over there setting up. And you'll get to see that one in probably my next video. Well, actually, probably in 2 videos from now. But that's going to be a really fun one. I'm going to have that one ready for my Mother's Day soap this spring. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. But so I hand stirred some of this in just to make sure I broke up as many of those clumps as I possibly could. And you could still see some of them in there. But I wanted to get this completely blended. So that's why I only went to just barely to emulsion. That way I had some time. And here I go with my scent. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Let me go ahead and throw this in here, because I knew that too was going to be something that if I didn't blend it well, it was going to, I didn't want to do any extra mixing. So do it all at once, Gary. And this scent actually behaves pretty well. I've never had an issue with it, which is kind of how I knew it wasn't the color, the fragrance that was discoloring it anyway. But anyway, the point being that I figured out what I did wrong, and it turned out beautifully, so I'm sharing that information with you. Of course, if you watched my other honey soap video, you're like, yeah, of course, Carrie, that's how you did it the first time. But me, I'm dumb, and you should never take anything for granted in soaping, I guess is what I'm saying. Because if you don't pay attention to what you're doing, don't stick to the basics, the moment you think you know it all, you don't. And so that's what I'm saying here. It's similar to the time that I thought, oh, I can just mix this tiny batch of lye with no gloves on, and immediately spilled it all over my hands. So, follow the safety rules, follow your soaping guidelines, follow the things that you learned to do when you were first learning to soap, because those are the basics and those are the things that you need to maintain. I say that while I'm also wearing short sleeves, but hey, don't do as I do as I say. I am way too comfortable with working with lye, but that happens to everybody, I think. But in the beginning, for sure, that's you should always be concerned with lye. Don't ever take it for granted. So now I've got it at a good emulsion, just barely to trace, if that. It's going to speed up for me. You'll start to see that here. It's going to speed up a little bit, but you'll notice somewhere in there I pulled out this mold. That's because the mold that I have for my honey that has the honeycomb pattern and this mold will give me a loaf of soap plus completely fill this mold. And I apologize because I know at some point the bowl covers what you see on camera. But I just love watching this I love filling this little mold and I love watching it get filled. But I definitely, I'm really happy with how this soap came out. I did correct my problem. I will not make that mistake again, especially because and also there's another tip I'm going to give you towards the end, but these little guys in particular, I love them and people really love to buy them. I sell them for $2 each or 4 for $6. So, and I, sell a little 4-pack of them and people get so excited because they're the cute little shapes. They make the perfect little guest soap or little soaps to keep by your sink to wash your hands with. Like, they're just a really great little size and they're a great way to try out a honey soap if you've never done it before. Just to get the feel for that, because the honey soap's just gorgeous. But you can see how this is already darkening a little bit and thickening up, but this is normal. So the honey soap going a little orange on you, totally normal. It will not come out that color when you unmold it if you do it at a lower temperature. I think what was happening was my honey was, my soap batter was getting scorched because of all the heat created by the extra sugar. And I knew better. I knew that. I knew it. And yet, but I love doing this because look how easy that is. There's no fancy swirl, nothing. You just pour that on in and scrape that bowl clean. And it comes out just absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy. The other thing that I learned is I also had been unmolding too early. I think I've said this before, but I am the most impatient person, especially when it comes to soaping, and I just can't wait. And honey soap takes longer to set up. I normally, between 24 and 36 hours, can unmold my soap. That's pretty typical for me. Sooner in the non-humid months, which are still pretty humid in Florida, longer when it's humid. Honey soap, I wait almost 2 days. Actually, I do wait 2 days because I need to. I haven't a few times, and that's another issue because the honeycomb pattern comes off. You lose some detail in that little purple mold. It's not fun for anybody. So I have now made it a point to no, Carrie, be patient. You know what it's going to look like. You don't need to unmold it yet. And I've done that with all my soaps, just trying to be a little more patient. So I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. And I'm being a cleaner soaper. Like, there's nothing on my table, really. Those smears are from me wiping it down with vinegar after I did that batch that you see to the left there. I did these both on the same day, so. And then I cover it. It kind of doesn't matter with my honey soap how much soda ash I get on top, mostly because I plane that off because that's actually the bottom of the soap. So I'm going to show you the cut on this because it's so wonderfully set up, and just so you can see how light this is compared to what I had before. And then I'll show you a previous batch I did that didn't come out as well. And I should have lined this up a little bit better. I ended up shaving off little random bits on the end. But look at the beautiful buttery color of that. It's nice and smooth. I've got a few little air bubbles in there, but nothing that I can't plane off and make it look beautiful. And you can see the beautiful honeycomb pattern on top. I just love this little mold. It's one reason I keep using it, even though I could make a larger batch of bar soap here. But I like doing the little soaps with it, and I love the honeycomb pattern on top, and I can't find a 10-inch loaf mold with this honeycomb pattern. If you find one, let me know. So I use this little 8-inch one and then but it's good because it works out. I have just enough to fill that other mold. And then I've got to see how soft it is that it left all that behind though. So again, even after 2 days, that's how soft it is. So I just need to be more patient. But also I don't want to wait too long and then it's too hard to cut. I had been stamping my honey soap and I'm going to try doing that again, but I held off on it just to get a better feel for when it's at a stampable place, and I probably won't do that until my next few batches. So I have 2 batches coming up. And so in the meantime, I do have the darker colored soap, and I'm going to show you the difference here in a second after I unmold the little guys. I love them. These are so fun to unmold. If you're a honey soap maker, or even if you just do like even a melt and pour with a honey scent, like get a mold like this. They are so freaking adorable and people just love them. Look at how cute he is. Oh, I love the little bees too. So cutesy. But yeah, I'll put a link in the description to the Honey Truck Company. I can even, if I can find it, put a link to that honeycomb mold. It's just adorable. And this guy, I think I got this off of Amazon. I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it like on Wish and AliExpress, and I've seen it a million different places. So you can find those all over. But I think I got mine from Amazon. I love my Prime shipping as much as I hate to support Jeff Bezos. Although lately I've been really good about supporting small businesses. I've got a stamp coming from Print 3D Simple, who, I love. They're on Etsy and they have their own site. I'll link that as well. I just bought a rubber stamp so I can stamp my boxes. And I think I'm going to do some custom packing tape from Sticker Mule. I did a really cute sample. And I think that'll make my boxes a little more special. That's what I love about when you buy from small creators and small business owners. You get a little personalized touch. You get a little, you get a little more fun packaging. As much as Prime is easy, those boxes are so impersonal, and they're half ripped open when you get them. And so I'm looking forward to being able to do some fun stuff with my business. So if you have a small business and you make supplies for soapers or even cake decorators and stuff, we can use a lot of that stuff. Leave me a comment. I'll check it out. And if you've got something I need, man, I'll buy it from you rather than getting it off Amazon. Yes, it costs a little more, but I just feel like, especially now, we just really need to support each other as small business owners. And that's what's important to me. So that's what I'm going to do. Along with, look, you get to see me clean. Here's proof that I do actually clean up after myself. Since I'm just cutting, this one is just alcohol, which cleans up this table beautifully. Also sanitizes it. You'll see those little streaks. That's just a little bit of soap that it leaves behind. But the thing is, this alcohol will get little crumbles of soap up, because once I start to wipe them off, they smear into the table. So I just go ahead and wipe it down with rubbing alcohol, both before and after I use it each time. So I'll do a vinegar spray after I make soap, so I get rid of any unsaponified lye. And then I do a alcohol. This is great. So I'm going to start doing dish soap. And that shows you my new logo. But I'm going to start selling that in the shop, so look for that soon. I did a video on that, and I'll link that as well. So here's what the soap originally looked like when I wasn't paying attention, and it was really dark and not at all what I was looking for. I mean, the smooth creaminess. I hate the word creamy. Ugh. Why did I say creamy? That is not a word. I just hate that word. It's like I feel about creamy the way a lot of people feel about moist. But that original soap looked gritty. It didn't look as smooth. And so I wanted something that looked smoother, butterier. And so that's what I did. I hope you enjoy it. There are honey soaps available on my site. You might get one of the older ones. But stay tuned, because the nice, smoother, new and improved honey soaps will be available for purchase soon. Hey, you know what's coming. Yeah, you should like this video, or leave me a comment. Let me know which honey soap you like better. And of course, hey, subscribe. It's a great thing. You'll get to see all my soapy videos. I've got a lot of great stuff coming. You can also follow me on Instagram or Facebook at The Gilded Bubble. I'm also on TikTok, trying to work on that, but I'm old and I don't really know how to use TikTok. My website is thegildedbubble.com, where you can find and buy all of my soaps. I hope you'll check it out. And thank you so much for watching my video. I'll see you next time.